Hello and welcome back to the Goodness Margin, the place where we find margin for the good.
What
are you doing?
Welcome to the Goodness Margin.
You wanna open?
No, I don't know how to open.
Stop.
What? I'm just sitting here.
Hello. Stop. Do you want to do this all day?
No.
I have other things to do.
Do you? Okay.
Hello and welcome back to the Goodness Margin, the place where we find margin for the good things in life. Today we have a special treat. We have my husband Lane with us.
I don't know how special that is.
If you're new to the channel, last year we did a video together talking about how that we meet towards the end of every year and talk about our goals for the next year, where we want to be goal-wise for ourselves and our family, financially, all of those things. And you can find that video linked below. We'll also link it at the end of the video. Today, we are going to kind of bring this to the next level. Yes, it's important that you sit down once a year and you talk about this stuff, but it is just as important to meet about those on a regular basis. If you don't check back in, you're definitely not going to meet those goals. Or, I mean, my goodness, if you're checking on your finances just once a year, that's definitely not enough. So we call them Money Mondays. You can call it whatever you want to call it.
You can do like a lot of people and write your goals down and ignore them the rest of the year.
Right, like a New Year's resolution.
So you realize you're not failing.
Yes. So we do Money Mondays, and we talked about this on our video last year, and now we are finally getting back together, and we're going to kind of share with you what those look like. It's the first Monday of every month. That's why we call it that. I don't even know where that name came from. Do you remember?
Should be No Money Mondays.
Yeah. Lane, you want to talk about our goals, what we talk about?
So a major part of setting goals, right, is the need to revisit those goals and make sure that you're on course. It's just a time on Monday. It takes about 15 minutes where we look at our goals, see how we're doing in progress, and also revisit our budget and look at, expenditures, things like that. What do we need to correct for the coming month?
This is extremely important to do. It's very important what we do at the end of the year where we talk about our goals for the next year. But really checking in at least once a month is probably the most important part of it because we're really seeing where that we're at. If you're married, you really must do this with your spouse. But if you're single, if you want to do this by yourself, you can absolutely do that. But it's a great idea to find someone to be accountable to. That's a great thing for us to check in with each other and, hey, last month I said I was going to do this and did I do it? Where are we at? So Lane, do you want to share a little bit about how that we talk about our goals on that Monday? We're not really necessarily setting goals, but we're checking in on them.
The first thing, just so you know, we run our household together. We have one checking account that we share and everything goes through that. So when we're looking at our finances, we're not looking at two separate checking accounts. We run everything together. But when we sit down, we have several questions that we ask ourselves. First, with those goals, where are we at? Are we achieving those goals? Are we making them happen? And then we revisit those goals to ask, are they still relevant? Do they need to change? Because life is very fluid. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have to change those things. And when we change those goals, we update and we navigate the new waters, so to speak. And everybody knows right now, 2022, right?
Yep.
That's what year we're in, 2022. Unless you're watching this in 2023, which is possible, I think, because
it's going to come out in December.
This is December of 2022, so you could watch this in January. Life's very fluid, as we've learned over the last several years. You have to navigate and change and make adjustments, and so we update those, and then we revisit the action plan. If nothing has changed, what action plan are we doing the same steps? But if there is a change, you have to develop a new action plan. What are the new steps? What are the new things? And then we hold each other accountable. Mm-hmm. If I spent too much money on something, she takes me to task. Or if she spent too much money, I just say, yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's not true. One of the things I think is really important is most of you are probably like us, where the opposites attract. We're not totally opposite, but especially for goal setting. Lane is the big picture person. He really sees like far into the future. Sometimes he looks so far that I'm like, what does that really matter? But it does. And so he is that one. And I'm more of, let's create the minute details in the plan. And so because of that, he may share this big plan that he has, and then I'm going to come alongside and help. Okay, what are the steps that we need to do? And then at the same time, he helps me to see things much further in the future. I mean, even with this channel, he saw things that I did not expect. And yeah, so, this channel is here because of him, in case you didn't know that.
Well,
just
if
like
you're
a little side note.
if you're a couple, well, if you're as a person, as an individual, you need to know yourself, know your strengths and weaknesses. And then as a couple, you need to know your strengths and weaknesses together. Use your strengths where you can, and then hedge your weaknesses. Just because you're a matched couple like us, maybe that opposites attract, doesn't mean there aren't weaknesses between us. It's not like we're covering all the bases. And that's true in any relationship. So you have to recognize and know yourself, cover those weaknesses, use your strengths, and make forward progress.
Yeah, absolutely. The second part of our meeting is we just talk about our finances. We talk about our budget. We revisit last month. So what was last month? How did we go sticking to the budget? If we did, great. If we didn't, what happened? And then we look forward to the future. What's coming up? Is there something that we need to be planning for? Has something changed? I mean, typically that is the reason that this monthly meeting is so important, because I would love to tell you that we plan our entire year out and it stays exactly the same. That is absolutely not accurate. Sometimes we thought, hey, we're going to try to do this for a family vacation, and it totally changes and we need to do this thing instead. Looking at our finances together, looking back and seeing where are we at, how do we do, and then looking forward of what's coming up. That part of our meeting is pretty straightforward.
You're looking back at your goals to make sure that you're on track to try and hit those goals, and also navigating the fluidness of life.
I think that it's so important that as a couple that you take this time, because it really concretes that you are thinking together as a couple. The reality is that life is really, really busy. I would love that this was a normal thing, that we just had uninterrupted conversation to sit down and talk about our goals or things like that. But both of our kids are homeschooled, and so they're here at home, and there have been so many times that we've sat down to talk about something in the living room and it's important, and we get interrupted, and I could not tell you, if you were going to give me $1 million, I couldn't tell you what we had just been talking about, because we totally got derailed. So
and sometimes those meetings just don't get finished. You feel like they never really concluded because of interruptions.
Right. So we do take this time on these Money Mondays and say, this is what we're doing, kids. You have to be doing something else. And by meeting each month, taking this time together, you're really giving your marriage a gift, because you are taking another step to be sure that you're moving forward as a couple, not moving apart with your own goals and all of that. That Lane may have a goal that it's not my goal, but I am his partner, and so we're going to move forward together in that. So if you haven't done this, try it. It's fun. Sometimes the financial part isn't super fun.
Well, you're going to have disagreements. But a happy marriage is not a marriage without disagreements. It's a marriage that has communication.
Right.
And it's always better to have two horses pulling the cart.
I don't want to be called a horse.
Well, but two oxen or donkeys pulling the cart.
No, still not liking it.
You want to make progress, and you want to do it together.
Yes.
It's easier to make progress if you're not pulling in different directions.
That is absolutely true.
If you haven't already, be sure to check out the video from last year about setting goals for the upcoming year. It's some good content. It'll help you out. Find it right here.
Thanks for watching. I hope that your life is full of margin for the good things.